What's going on? I hope you all are good. So, if you haven't listened to this video or at least heard of it already at this point in time, considering it's been going viral all over social media, there has been audio going around from 2019, which was an interview with the director of the Acolyte show, who is Leslye Headland, if you didn't know, but there is some very controversial audio that has leaked from that interview, or it's just come back up from being buried so deep into the internet, considering it's an interview from 2019 and it's not like it's with a director that's widely known and that is at the top of the tier list of all directors. It's Leslye Headland, so I'm not surprised that it got buried as deep as it was, but it's come back up now and it's caused so much controversy with Star Wars fans. Now, if you're a fan of the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy, even though you most likely are, considering both of them trilogies made Star Wars what it is today, and if you're a fan of George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars himself, then you are going to have a huge problem with this interview and what Leslye Headland says in it. Before we get into it, I'm sure many of you have seen the interviews at Star Wars Celebration with the whole cast of the Acolyte and Leslye Headland herself, and the interviews could not have done a better job at making fans less excited for the Acolyte show. You can check them interviews out because I'm sure you'd want to, just to know what the Acolyte is really about and what we're really getting into if we are going to watch the Acolyte, which most of us are. If we're huge Star Wars fans, we're going to judge it. But you can go watch them interviews, but we're not going to go back through it again because it was so painful. But yeah, we're going to listen to this interview now and we're going to see what all the controversy is about. After we watch this, make sure to leave your opinion on it down below, and yeah, just give your thoughts because I'd love to hear it, and I'm sure all the other Star Wars fans that click on this video would like to as well. But without further ado, let's get into it.
This is like what we understand to be Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue. And I think the prequels are an excellent example of that. I mean, but you look at McQuarrie's work and honestly, you realize like what an indelible mark this man has made on culture via this one role that he played in this film. And the idea that like when you're hiring a director, that everyone is sitting in there waiting for George Lucas and not for the person who's going to know to hire Ralph McQuarrie. That's the problem. That's the misogyny and the problem with the auteur myth as it stands today, because they're not thinking this is the person that will hire the right people and this is the person that will be able to create the lookbooks and direct people to get them to that place. They're just thinking, do you have all the answers? And the truth is that nobody does, and anybody that says they do is lying. You know, the idea that that person is replaceable and the writer director is not is something I would challenge.
So yeah, as you may have just heard, she is bashing George Lucas, and actually I should probably mention that this interview was right after she got hired to make this Acolyte show. So after that, she had the confidence to come out here in this interview and say that George Lucas doesn't know everything about Star Wars, even though he's the creator of it.
You absolute buffoon.
But to also say that the prequels are trash. Which is just so disrespectful to the creator of this amazing magical world that many love till this day. Just when we thought that this director could not get any worse, we get this interview reach its hand out of its grave and entering the world once again, making itself known. And we just did not need to hear this. In fact, we kind of did, considering it lets us know more about this director, even though we know enough and we know that her ideals are nothing to do with Star Wars, and Star Wars is not her main focus. So I, like many other people, do not have any confidence in this show whatsoever. Now, even though I heard that the trailer does look pretty cool, and honestly the show sounds cool, after the interviews at Star Wars Celebration and then this absolutely ridiculous answer in this interview, I don't know what this interview was, but this clip is all we needed to hear. But this just makes her look even worse, and honestly it makes Kathleen Kennedy look a lot worse as well. She's the one who hired this woman, and she knows exactly who she's hiring for these jobs and the type of directors that she is hiring to create these products, such as Acolyte and the Rey movie. They are both woke activists. A woke activist is exactly who Kathleen Kennedy is, and she does not hide it. She came out and said that the Force is female, and if that doesn't show you her true intentions and the agenda that she's pushing, then I don't know what will. But then again, she's not trying to hide it. She's just telling us exactly what these Star Wars projects that she creates are really about. It's not about the galaxy far, far away. It's not about escapism. It's just about pushing the agenda that men are trash and women are so much better. How many times do the fans have to remind you that Star Wars is not about that whatsoever? It's nothing to do with that. You don't need to push your own agenda, your own selfish agenda, into these movies that were never about anything like this. Even though the cast and crew, including Leslye Headland, literally said that Star Wars is about these things and so many other stuff that I just do not want to get into. Like I said, if you want to check that stuff out, then you go and watch them interviews from Star Wars Celebration. But what she said is just ridiculous. You trash George Lucas and you say the prequels were bad. It's a terrible look. It's a terrible look for the brand. It's terrible for Kathleen Kennedy, even though this is what she wants. How many times do you have to say she needs to get out of here?
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out!
Now, if leaks are true, if Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny bombs, then Kathleen Kennedy should be out of her role for good. And that would be like a dream come true. All Star Wars fans around the world will be celebrating this like the Ewoks on Endor at the end of Return of the Jedi. Leslye Headland is the former personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein. She's a woke activist who doesn't care about the story that she's telling. She just cares about her own agendas. She always talks about herself and how much she is not straight. I don't know why that's the main thing she talks about, but it is. She always has to mention it. It's nothing to do with Star Wars. Just talk about Star Wars. Talk about how much you respect George Lucas. Talk about how much you appreciate the movies that came before the one you're about to make. Well, she's making a series, but you know what I mean. Even if you don't mean it, just give props to the person who created this galaxy and this story that you are going to continue in your series. You would not have this job without this man, George Lucas, who created a top tier franchise, literally the most popular franchise ever. And then she goes out her way to disrespect him. It's just ridiculous. It's so crazy, but yeah, I'm not shocked. And I bet you guys are not shocked either, because we're used to this BS from Kathleen Kennedy and all the Kathleen Kennedy-like people that she hires. The directors that she's been hiring are just physical embodiments of her agenda and her own selfish ideals that she wants to push into this widely loved franchise. And she continues to do that, even though she's very aware, we all know, and of course people close to Disney have come out and said that she's very aware of how much she's been failing in this franchise, but it doesn't seem to faze her, considering she's going to push this agenda till the end. And I think the end is coming very soon for her role at Star Wars Lucasfilm. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on too long. It's nothing that we haven't heard before. We're not shocked, even though we are kind of shocked, considering it's just so stupid that she'd come out and bash the creator of the story, that she's gonna continue. She wouldn't have this job without him. George Lucas is the GOAT. He's the king of storytelling. If he wasn't, this franchise would not have been, and yes, I said have been because it's not anymore, but this franchise would not have been the most popular and successful franchise ever created if it wasn't for him. Anyways, what do you guys think about this down below? Let me know. It's so stupid, so ridiculous. I hope Acolyte is good. I hope that everything she's been saying somehow does not make it into the show, even though I'm pretty sure it will. You would not talk about all of this agenda stuff and not push it like most Hollywood projects do nowadays. But anyways, we can only hope, and we've got Dave Filoni's show, Ahsoka, with all fan-loved characters, and I just cannot wait for that. Hopefully Kathleen Kennedy has not forced her ideals into his show. Just let Dave Filoni do his thing. He should be in your role, Kathleen Kennedy, because you're terrible at what you do, and I don't care what you've done in the past. You're terrible at this job. This role is not for you, and it doesn't even seem like you're trying to be good at your job. So you need to go and give Dave Filoni all control over Star Wars, as he is the best man for the job.
What did you say?
Yes, best man for the job. It doesn't have to be a man, he just happens to be a man. Don't be mad, Kathleen Kennedy. He's just the human for the job. Anyways, like I said, what do you think about it? Comment down below. What do you think about this? You're most likely going to feel the same as I do. I mean, how can you not? It's just so ridiculous. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one.